A city of glass can record every face, every vehicle, and every movement, yet the most dangerous people are often the ones who understand exactly where the cameras cannot see. The Shadow's Edge turns that modern fear into a grand cat-and-mouse thriller, where algorithms search the streets of Macau while experienced human eyes search the spaces between the data. Released in 2025, the film follows Wong Tak-chung, a retired surveillance specialist who is called back when a highly disciplined criminal crew defeats the police's advanced tracking network. The thieves are led by Fu Lungsang, a fugitive known as the Wolf King, whose 5 adopted sons function like a private intelligence unit. Their target is not bags of physical cash but access to a cryptocurrency fortune protected by an encryption key. The project was written and directed by Larry Leung and loosely adapted from the 2007 Hong Kong thriller Eye in the Sky. Instead of repeating that earlier story, Yang reportedly spent years developing a modern version and created most of the material anew. The central business decision was intelligent: retain the proven dramatic engine of surveillance and pursuit, then rebuild it around artificial intelligence, digital finance, generational change, and 2 legendary screen performers. Financially, the movie was not an effortless investment. Producer Victoria Han acknowledged that action films had become difficult to finance because some investors doubted the genre's strength in the contemporary Chinese market. The production therefore needed more than star recognition. It required a convincing script, detailed action planning, real Macau locations, and characters strong enough to justify a long theatrical experience. The first half begins with a heist designed like a systems engineering problem. Fu's adopted sons penetrate a secure bank vault, steal a notebook containing access information, and manipulate the surveillance infrastructure so that the police see only what the criminals want them to see. The operation is efficient because each member performs a specialized function: leadership, hacking, physical force, disguise, movement, and escape. The stolen information points toward a much larger opportunity involving digital assets stored through a company at Macau Tower. Against Fu's instructions, the younger thieves expand the mission after discovering a cryptocurrency fortune worth approximately 1.5 billion Hong Kong dollars. Their decision is driven by opportunity bias. The unexpected reward appears so large that it makes the additional risk feel smaller than it really is. With the technology embarrassed and useful evidence almost non-existent, Police Commander Wang Xuemei recruits Wong Tak-chung. He is introduced as a retired expert whose observational intelligence remains active even while walking dogs. His methods appear slow compared with artificial intelligence, but they are based on behavior rather than only identity. He studies rhythm, hesitation, posture, routine, and the small human mistakes that automated systems may classify as meaningless noise. Wong rebuilds a surveillance team and begins mentoring young officer He Chiogwa. She carries personal resentment because her father died during an operation connected to Wong. Their partnership therefore begins with negative emotional capital. He has knowledge she needs, but she does not yet trust the person delivering it. The first half invests in that conflict while the investigation gradually identifies disguises, past crimes, and the hidden structure behind the heist crew. In the second half, the investigation moves from identifying criminals to entering their emotional territory. Wong and he follow Fu through markets and residential spaces, learning that the Wolf King is not simply a distant mastermind. He is a father figure who built his organization around abandoned young men, trained them, protected them, and demanded absolute obedience in return. At the same time, the criminal family begins collapsing from within. The son's decision to steal the larger digital fortune has damaged Fu's authority. Greed creates mistrust, and mistrust creates factions. One son remains intensely loyal, another acts through fear and calculation, and the group becomes vulnerable to manipulation. The organization that defeated a national surveillance system cannot protect itself from emotional division. An attempted assassination, a road ambush, and a trap at an orphanage push the film into heavier action. Fu survives a brutal fight and an explosion, only to be arrested. Yet the police mistake temporary control for final victory. During transport, he escapes, and the remaining thieves attempt to move through the luxury hotel logistics surrounding Macau's resorts. The final pursuit divides across corridors, service areas, vehicles, and a railway station. Wong fights the younger criminals through experience and improvisation rather than youthful speed. Fu's relationship with his sons reaches its tragic conclusion as loyalty, betrayal, and the cryptocurrency passphrase converge. A post-credits revelation introduces a surviving third brother and preserves one missing word, turning the ending into both emotional closure and a calculated franchise doorway. Wong's psychology is built around guilt that has been converted into discipline. He once broke surveillance protocol to intervene during an operation, and his father died in the consequences. Wong's retirement is therefore not simple age or exhaustion. It is a form of self-imposed exile. He keeps watching the world because observation is his identity, but he avoids the institution that reminds him of his failure. He Chiogwa represents inherited grief. She has built a clear story in which Wong caused her father's death, because anger gives pain a target. Behavioral psychology shows why this can feel safer than uncertainty. A single person is easier to blame than a chaotic chain of decisions, imperfect information, and battlefield timing. As she learns the full circumstances, her emotional model becomes more complex and therefore more mature. Fu is organized around paternal control. He offers his adopted son's identity, skill, protection, and belonging. In exchange, he expects loyalty that cannot be questioned. This resembles a closed family business where the founder confuses love with ownership. When the sons pursue the larger fortune, he experiences their decision not only as operational disobedience but as personal rejection. The police display automation bias. Because the Sky Eye system processes enormous quantities of information, officers begin treating its output as complete reality. Wong understands that a model can be powerful without being wise. The criminals exploit predictable system behavior, while Wong searches for intention. The movie's psychological argument is that technology recognizes patterns, but people interpret meaning. A reliable production budget has not been publicly established, so any exact figure would create false precision. The better financial analysis begins with what can be verified. This was a large-scale location production with an 84-day principal shoot, months of pre-production, extensive action design, international stars, hundreds of technical decisions, and substantial post-production requirements. The investment risk was increased by the market's uncertainty toward traditional action cinema. The producers could not depend only on nostalgia for Jackie Chan. They needed the film to appeal simultaneously to older action audiences, younger viewers interested in technology and digital crime, fans of Zifeng, followers of Wen Junhui, and audiences drawn to Tony Leung Kfai's dramatic authority. Reported worldwide theatrical revenue reached approximately $163 million, with the overwhelming majority generated in China. That is a powerful commercial result, but theatrical gross is not profit. Cinemas retain a share, while distributors and producers must account for marketing, taxes, financing, talent agreements, delivery costs, and territory-specific expenses. Without a verified budget and complete cost statement, a precise ROI percentage would be misleading. From an EBITDA perspective, the key question is not simply how much money entered cinemas. It is how efficiently the project converted production spending into durable audience demand. Strong box office momentum, international sales, awards recognition, and announced sequel plans suggest that investors purchased more than one film. They purchased the possibility of a continuing surveillance action franchise. The movie's technology operates on two levels. Inside the story, artificial intelligence, facial recognition, camera networks, hacking, digital wallets, and wearable devices create a world where information is the most valuable weapon. Behind the camera, modern digital cinematography and carefully planned action workflows allow that world to feel immediate rather than abstract. Cinematographer Chen Tiantian used Sony's Cinematography 2 system, a camera designed for high-end digital production. Its ability to handle close-ups, rapid motion, varied lighting, and detailed urban environments supported a story that moves constantly between faces, screens, narrow interiors, night streets, and explosive action. The camera needed to preserve both intimate performance and physical speed. Pre-production reportedly lasted around 5 months, while location scouting continued for approximately 8 months. Many action sequences were storyboarded and filmed as demonstration versions before principal photography. These demos functioned like prototypes. They allowed the team to test movement, camera position, timing, safety, and dramatic clarity before expensive locations, stars, vehicles, and stunt crews were committed. The most important innovation is the film's refusal to treat old and new technology as enemies with only one winner. Artificial intelligence provides scale. Human surveillance provides context. Digital cameras provide flexibility. Practical choreography provides weight. The production succeeds when each system covers the weakness of another, creating a hybrid workflow rather than a simple celebration of machines. Production management begins long before a camera records an image. Macau Tower, Win Macau, Koloane, markets, transport routes, service spaces, and luxury interiors all required location agreements, technical surveys, access schedules, security coordination, crowd control, equipment movement, and contingency planning. A location becomes cinematic only after logistics make creativity possible. Principal photography lasted 84 days from late 2024 into early 2025. Every day represented wages, rentals, accommodation, transport, insurance, catering, permits, and opportunity cost. A delayed stunt can affect several departments at once. Time therefore behaves like compound interest. A small scheduling failure can multiply across the production. Chen reportedly joined as cinematographer only 48 hours before filming began. That compressed transition demonstrates the importance of preparation shared across departments. Storyboards, location plans, lighting information, action demonstrations, and production design can preserve continuity even when a senior creative role changes unexpectedly. Managing a 70-year-old action icon also requires balancing authenticity with safety. The audience expects Jackie Chan to perform, improvise, and use physical environments, but a production cannot treat reputation as protection from injury. Stunt coordinators, rehearsal teams, riggers, medical staff, camera operators, and editors must design the illusion of maximum danger within a controlled professional system. The individual appears heroic because the organization manages risk collectively. The film is not a documentary about surveillance, but its central debate is credible. Large cities increasingly generate enormous quantities of camera footage, location data, transaction records, and biometric information. Artificial intelligence can search that material faster than human teams, but its accuracy depends on image quality, training data, system access, and the assumptions built into the model. Criminals can exploit blind spots through disguise, camera obstruction, manipulated feeds, crowded environments, and unpredictable routes. However, defeating an integrated surveillance network as completely as the gang does would normally require extensive access, insider knowledge, infrastructure compromise, and operational discipline. The movie compresses those difficulties so the heist remains understandable and exciting. The cryptocurrency mechanics contain a recognizable idea. Many digital wallets can be recovered through a sequence of words, often 12 or 24, and possession of the correct recovery phrase can provide control over assets. Yet stealing cryptocurrency worth billions would involve additional layers of security, custody procedures, network monitoring, transaction tracing, and human authorization. The film simplifies digital finance into a physical key and memorable words because cinema needs visible objectives. The action physics are naturally exaggerated. Characters survive crashes, falls, impacts, knife wounds, explosions, and prolonged fights with recovery times that serve narrative momentum rather than medicine. The scientific realism is strongest not in the injuries but in the system's lesson. No security network is invincible, and the most serious vulnerability is often a human decision made under pressure. Macau is photographed as a city of competing surfaces. Glass reveals and reflects. Casino lighting attracts attention while service corridors hide movement. Towers create vertical danger, and crowded streets provide visual noise. The cinematography turns urban luxury into a surveillance maze where visibility does not always produce understanding. Tien's camera frequently separates observation from participation. Wide frames establish the geography of a pursuit, surveillance-style angles reduce people to moving targets, and close-ups restore emotional identity. This movement between distance and intimacy mirrors the story's argument. Data sees bodies, while human attention sees fear, loyalty, suspicion, and grief. Action scenes are constructed around readable space. Jackie Chan's choreography works best when the viewer understands the room, the available objects, and the physical problem. The camera follows bodies through laundry equipment, ceilings, corridors, furniture, vehicles, and narrow passageways. Each environment becomes a temporary machine that the performers learn to operate faster than their opponents. The veterans are photographed with respect for age rather than an attempt to erase it. Lines, fatigue, controlled breathing, and slower preparation become part of the drama. Younger characters may move faster, but the older men occupy the frame with strategic weight. Cinematography turns age into narrative information. Experience is visible before either man throws a punch. Nicolas Herrera's score supports a film divided between digital precision and emotional memory. Electronic textures can suggest systems, networks, and rapidly processed information, while orchestral weight gives the older characters history and authority. The music therefore helps connect a contemporary cyber heist to the tradition of Hong Kong action drama. Surveillance sequences depend on restraint. Footsteps, traffic, distant conversations, radio instructions, breathing, and clothing movement become important because the characters are trying not to attract attention. Sound places the audience inside disciplined concentration. A small noise can feel dangerous when silence is protecting an identity. Digital interfaces introduce beeps, alerts, communications, and screen transitions, but the mix avoids allowing technology to become weightless decoration. The strongest moments connect a sound to a decision, a message received, a camera noticed, a train arriving, a weapon prepared, or a missing word remembered. Sound turns information into urgency. The film's sound design received recognition at the Hong Kong Film Awards through a nomination. That acknowledgement matters because complex action can become exhausting when every sound competes at equal intensity. Effective mixing creates hierarchy. The audience must understand what is dangerous now, what is approaching next, and which emotional detail should survive beneath the spectacle. The marketing campaign was built around generational reach. Jackie Chan offered global recognition and decades of action credibility. Tony Leung KFAI added dramatic prestige and the attraction of a rare veteran confrontation. Zifeng connected the story to a younger mainstream audience, while Wen Junhui brought international fan attention extending beyond traditional cinema marketing. The reunion of Chan and Leung after roughly 2 decades created a simple promotional hook, 2 established masters facing each other in a modern action thriller. The technology theme supplied a second hook. Trailers could sell artificial intelligence, crypto theft, surveillance, towers, explosions, and close combat without explaining every family relationship or plot twist. International sales began before the theatrical release. The project was presented at the Cannes Film Market, where distribution deals were secured across several territories. Pre-selling rights reduces exposure by converting audience expectations into contractual value before the complete global box office result is known. It is the film finance equivalent of securing customers before expanding production. The China release on the 16th of August 2025 generated strong momentum, and the film rose to the top of the market during its run. Marketing benefited from social proof. Each box office milestone became new advertising material. Reports describing it as Jackie Chan's strongest action return in years helped transform curiosity into urgency. Critical response was divided in a revealing way. Supporters praised the abundant action, Jackie Chan's physical commitment, Tony Leung KFAI's commanding villain, and the film's energetic combination of old-school skill with modern surveillance. For many viewers, it felt like a return to the large, inventive action storytelling associated with Chan's strongest work. Critics who responded less positively focused on the 142-minute running time, complicated plotting, sentimental flashbacks, repeated reversals, and the number of characters competing for attention. This criticism identifies a genuine trade-off. The film creates scale by adding family history, police procedure, digital finance, betrayals, and multiple climaxes, but each edition increases cognitive cost for the audience. Awards strengthened its long-term reputation. At the 44th Hong Kong Film Awards, Tony Leung KFAI won Best Actor, while the production also won Best Action Choreography. Additional recognition included nominations for New Performer, Editing, and Sound Design. These honors confirmed that the movie's value was not limited to nostalgia or revenue. Specific areas of craft received professional recognition. Its legacy also belongs to an adaptation chain. The 2007 original inspired a South Korean reinterpretation, and this version updates the same surveillance foundation for the age of artificial intelligence and digital assets. Announced sequel plans suggest that the ending's unfinished business was commercially intentional. The film may become a bridge between classic Hong Kong action craft and a new technology-driven franchise model. At its heart, this is a story about the difference between seeing and understanding. Cameras can collect images, algorithms can compare faces, and networks can process millions of signals. Yet knowledge still depends on judgment. Wong succeeds because he notices what a person is trying to hide, while Fu survives because he understands what people desire. The art comes from the relationships, a mentor carrying guilt, a daughter carrying blame, a criminal father demanding loyalty, and young men confusing wealth with freedom. The technology gives those relationships a modern battlefield. The capital gives the filmmakers enough scale to transform surveillance theory into towers, chases, fights, explosions, and international theatrical value. The movie also presents an intelligent career statement for its veteran performers. Age is not treated only as decline. It becomes accumulated information. Younger bodies possess speed and resilience, but older professionals have pattern recognition, emotional memory, and the ability to predict consequences. Their value lies not in pretending to be young but in making experience cinematic. Financially, the project demonstrates that established genres do not necessarily disappear, they require repositioning. Traditional action was combined with AI anxiety, crypto crime, younger stars, premium locations, and franchise design. That combination converted investor doubt into a major theatrical result without abandoning the physical performance that audiences associate with Jackie Chan. The final lesson is that neither technology nor tradition is sufficient alone. Systems need human interpretation. Experience needs new tools. Spectacle needs character. Investment needs trust. When those elements cooperate, cinema can transform a simple pursuit through city streets into a study of psychology, education, finance, technology, and the fragile loyalties that exist at the edge of every shadow. If you found this deep dive meaningful, my literature-loving friends, consider liking and subscribing so we can keep decoding the business and beauty of cinema together.